Welcome back to Morrison. Today we're going to talk a little bit about change parts, where you might find them in your production facility, and how you can work with Morrison to implement change parts into your process. What is a change part? Here at Morrison, we have different definitions for different types of products that we put into the packaging industry. One of the things that we manufacture are timing screws, and while timing screws are a part of the change part process, when Morrison's talking about change parts, typically we're talking about star wheels and guides. Most of the time when you see change parts from Morrison, you're going to see them on a rotary machine, like a filler, a labeler, or a capper, that would run on a production line. There are three different ways in which most companies work with Morrison around change parts. OEMs can send us a print, and we can manufacture to those prints. You can give us a model, and we can design parts around your machine to that model. Or we can come and measure your machine, create a 3D model from that measure, and design parts from there. So if we're going to talk about the first way in which a lot of companies work with Morrison, it's to give us a print. A lot of companies will design their parts, and they need someone to manufacture the plastic components for them because they don't either have the plastic in stock or they don't have the machinery capable to do that. A lot of companies rely on Morrison to do that process because we do it at a very high level from a quality perspective, and we also have very fast lead times to meet our customers' needs. Another way that a lot of companies utilize Morrison is they want to design their machine, but they want to rely on Morrison to do all the container handling components. So a lot of OEMs will share their 3D models with Morrison, and we will use that model to design those container handling parts, those star wheels and guides, around their machine, manufacture those parts and components, and give that OEM those parts so that they can run them off for their FATs or for their customers at the production facilities. The third way is to come out and 3D measure your machine that's in the field. By doing this, we are coming and measuring and creating a working 3D model of the as-built machine that's on your facility floor, and we take that as our baseline so that every part that we make is to the exact machine as you see it on your production floor. Why is that important? It's important because if you build a machine in Italy, and by the time it gets to your production floor in California, it has gone through a lot of shipping processes, it's gone through a lot of forklift traffic, and by the time it gets actually to your production floor, a few things might be off a few millimeters here and there, and that makes a really big difference in container handling. So by measuring that machine and creating a working 3D model of your machine on your production floor, you get the most high quality parts that run as efficient as possible so that you can meet your production demands. While Morrison does design parts to mount onto an existing core plate or an existing mounting process that you have on your machine, we can also put our core plates on, which allow for a toolless changeover and allow you to have faster changeover times so that you can have more uptime and get more product out the door. Another thing that a lot of companies utilize Morrison for is the fact that we have a lot of different colors of parts to choose from. And why is this important? Well, a lot of companies will use temporary workers or have a hard time keeping the same personnel on staff. That means when they're doing changeovers, if they've got a whole bunch of sets of parts that are the same color, a lot of operators end up putting the wrong sets of parts on, which really decreases the efficiencies of the machine output. Morrison stocks 6 different colors at all times, so that when you want to perform changeover, we make one set of parts all one color, and when you perform changeover, we can make it as dummy-proof as possible and have the second set of parts as a completely different color. These colors are red, blue, black, orange, green, and white. If you need to run more sizes than the 6 colors that we have available, or you really want your parts to be a certain color, a lot of pharmaceutical plants really prefer to have all of their parts white, we can also put in color plugs, which are little dots of a different color that help from an identification standpoint so that your operators still can have that dummy-proof process of knowing what set of parts need to go on when you're running a certain bottle size. Not only does Morrison color code their parts, but we also make sure that we have name tags on each of our parts that give the operator a few different identification features. One item that's always on a set of parts from Morrison is the individual job number, so that if an operator or a mechanic needs to talk to Morrison, they can reference a job extremely easily by giving the identification number that's in that top line. The rest of the items that are on each of the name tags are specifically done per the customer request, and we can highlight any sort of identification feature that they would like for their individual processes so that they can better organize and or know what parts need to go where. After the Morrison engineering team designs the parts, we release them into manufacturing, and we do all of that manufacturing process here right at Morrison in Glenwood, Illinois. Being centrally located in the United States allows us to ship anywhere within North America extremely quickly, and because we're very vertically integrated and we manufacture all of the parts here on site, we're able to have extremely fast lead times to help make sure that your production uptime is as high as possible. After parts are manufactured and inspected, we go through Morrison's shipping process. We ship them right here from Glenwood, Illinois, usually followed by a service technician for the first set of parts to make sure that they are installed on your machine and working up to meet your production standards. After that first time install, we don't need to have a service technician follow for any additional sets of parts that need to go on those machines, which allow you to have even faster lead times and make sure that you can run as many new bottle sizes as you want on your production lines. Thanks for visiting us here today at Morrison. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Morrison's change part processes and discovered a few ways in which you can implement Morrison change parts into your production lines. If you need a set of change parts to go on your machine, or you got a new bottle size that you want to run on your production lines, please reach out to one of our sales reps or visit us on our website. Talk to you soon.